All right, folks, we got Motel St. James back there, some blocks away from the United States courthouses and the Hall of Justice, San Diego, California, right here downtown, just down Broadway, all the way to the end, the ocean front. Make a right down, and City Hall, the what I call the Wednesday wedding window, but Fifth Avenue. Here, I was talking about Fifth Avenue. I want to show you. You're looking at it there. I've got a link to it, and you're going to see it in a picture next to this. A key piece of evidence. And the frivolous case is all lies, 100% lies, not guilty. I have to remind people, not guilty, not guilty, not guilty, not guilty. Amazing defender Michael Parenti is my attorney. He says we're gonna have to do this because of the incredible onslaught that was coming from this town a certain way, where it's not a deal but a submittal, and we're working on some language, and but it's not guilty is what I'm telling you, folks, and this is not definitely not a guilty plea. You know, Chris Arabia is like a total liar. He says to the Nye County Board of County Commissioners that there's, by the way, their deputy DAs are digging up completely BS. They've got murderers that are on, people that were on the loose for years and years and years. And it's a weird thing in Nevada, by the way, where they supply drugs that's used in a murder, regardless of whether you know what the intent was. You can say what you want about it, but these are folks. They don't know if they're going to be tried for murder in Nye County, and they're living in Vegas, and that's not fair to them either. But that's why we have to do it this way, because they come back for seconds too. You see what I'm saying? That's an aspect of this, where this county is fabricated so much on me, and they're even using AI. I guarantee it, to generate evidence, and they're using AI. Literally, that paper just grows and grows and grows and grows, and these attorneys know it. And that's what I've been advised here. That's why we have to do it this way. Like, give them a little bit to make me look a little bad, but make sure I don't have a criminal record. And we're working on some of the language. But he did this incredible thing. As frivolous as he knows, you look at this, it's not even evidence. Crime. Anyway, and so you look at this. I want to show you that key piece of evidence. Brandon is a key name in this incredible Matthew F. Pursuit, the greatest real estate experience. FJB, fuck Joe Biden. We just, in Pahrump, we just say it. That's why Pahrump is paradise, as I say. I will always tell people, no matter where in the world I go, whether it's 60 miles east on the 160, whether it's a couple hundred miles down the Fun Tunnel to Los Angeles on a 3.5-hour drive, or where that Fun Tunnel, sometimes you would think, begins and or ends, but you've got this right here in San Diego, the I-15. I'll tell people I'm from Pahrump, Nevada, and that will never change. Pahrump is paradise, and I just want you folks to know that. But Brandon is a important. There's one piece of evidence they have. It's not evidence, by the way. You put that before a jury, and in all fairness, if there is racial, there is racial. My attorney said that. I said I don't want to go that route, but is it fair if we had taken this to trial? I said, well, it's bigger than that, because they just keep making up bullshit, and paying witnesses. But you look at this, and in all honesty, they would look at it. I guarantee. I mean, this is a First Amendment. This is a constitutional Bill of Rights kind of town, and regardless of maybe there is racial, like This Is Us, there is racial, or any, he doesn't quite fit the bill the way he talks. I see probably very nice, and they wouldn't convict over this one piece of evidence. So you look at all the discovery for this crown jewel felony case. What is their evidence? It's a blog post. Okay, speaking of freedom of speech and all these restrictions, Facebook, no one likes Facebook. Zuckerberg's a big waste of time. But I put up years and years and years. I've had this blog that I've maintained. It was a popular blog. People flock to it and read it, and it's insightful stuff. 10x what? Sorry, Grant Cardone. Not sorry, Grant Cardone. That's when you go on Grant Cardone's little, you gotta say 100x. You gotta say 1000x, and his eyes light up. So, you don't touch my 10x, but you say 100x, because my 10x is so perfect. The smallest component of 100x, smallest component of, okay, break it down how you want to. But Brandon Losano was his name. I guess first friend I ever had in elementary school. But what that blog post shows, and that's how I know these cases are completely fabricated, but also conspiracies that are rooted in psychology, anti-narcissism, anti-big money, and the way I think is just anathema to humble, God-fearing people. I'm gonna have $3 billion, $4 billion in my lifetime. I come right out and say it. Donald Trump level money plus. Let's take that and go 10x it. With no apologies to Grant Cardone, or 100x it. So apologies to Grant Cardone. I don't touch that. I want more than that. I want Jeff Bezos and not cut it in half because his stupid wife decides that she wants to divorce him to start a Zappos kind of company and buy a bunch of shoes and nice Mercedes. And poor Bill Gates, same thing with Melinda. They had better prenuptial estate planning involved. I didn't really read into it that carefully, but such a sad thing to see. Bill Gates is one of these people that what a story in technology. You go up there to San Jose, Silicon Valley, the pirates of Silicon Valley. This amazing story. Bill Gates, Microsoft DOS, MS-DOS. And he's the kind of guy that, what was Melinda for? The mom brings Melinda in for him. You got to find an MBA wife for him. And it's as liberal as they are, it is a beautiful story. And they talk about the diarrhea in that incredible documentary about re-engineering the toilet for folks in India so that they don't have in other places where it's just all this dysentery because all over the ground. But Brandon Losano, what this shows right here, you see that we're just a couple footsteps away from Fifth Avenue. So I was ready to go into bars when I was 10 years old. That's the bombshell here. I was ready to go into bars when I was 10 years old. And you saw me in Hawaii on South Hotel Street there, on that new Wanu stretch where you've got Republic and Chin Chin, Bar 35 in that famous, some people in the earlier hours want to go in there, they've got their signature cocktails, Miss Chinatown, Mexican Lollipop, but you want to go early, and you have a little time to stand there and look at the plaque. That was the old swing club, where Candy Barber, you read into that, the amazing, the full history of it, there by amazing artist that lives in Texas now and is familiar with such things as the Prada there in whatever that little town is. There's a town that has a name, and there's a Prada, and they have all these little weird art stands, and it's a Prada in the middle of nowhere. Corcoran, Mike Corcoran. Maybe I'll put a link in there for you too. But he has got amazing. Candy Barber was a porn star in the 70s, 80s era, and this was a time when she was the first girl next door porn star. The VHS tape, however you got porn, and you play it, and studio era, right? Post John Holmes, but Candy Barber, and so you could literally put a good sum of money down on early there at the swing club, and down on the dancing station, and have the scent for womanhood right in your face with your legs and the heels sticking up into the air. You, the lucky man that tipped her just enough to have her ass in your face. The girl next door, she was getting a little older, so of course it was a little more wrinkly, but just to know that this was the woman that got you through your, of course, people started older back then, people were older in porn, so in your mid-20s to early 30s, masturbating to VHS videos and pornography, this was the woman that, that got you through that period of your life. And now you are literally within millimeters of her nectars in your nose. That's now Bar 35. But I was ready for this when I was in elementary school. That's why this is so earth-shattering. That's the real bombshell out of this. Brandon Losano, what this blog post shows, and by the way, I am a heavily documented case because of what a genius I was. The greatest real estate, we all have the same story. I was a elementary school genius. You look at, they tried to have me on IEP, we need special and individual education plan. We sort of got rid of that as fast as we could, but I am a heavily documented, disciplinary issues, elementary, intermediate school, high school. And before they get rid of the records, if they haven't already, Department of Education, I want someone to go in and FOIA it, and maybe they've got special issues on that where you're going to need permission from me. I'll give it to you. I'll give it to you. Where I want all the records that the Hawaii Department of Education from Kanolani, Alva Scott Elementary, those amazing 6 years among these folks were Brandon and I, supposed first friend that I talk about in there, and and Aliamanu Intermediate, middle, right there, not far from AMR, and Radford High School, Admiral Arthur W. Radford High School, where I had my own Bette Midlers of my era, two sisters, Jessie James, Sydney Ray James, really famous people now if you look at them, tons of folks. But we had our own Bette Midler, those two sisters, and I did have the chance actually to work with them in media production. And Sydney Ray James, she and I, all I'm going to say is there were a few times, well, so where you sort of caught eyes with her. She was a very kind person. How in the world would anyone want anything to do with me? But that's how they, in a weird way, sometimes I think maybe you get to, you talk about sleeping your way to the top like Hillary Clinton and these really, really terrible people. But, in the brokerage world too, you sleep your way to the top. But sometimes it's more beautiful than that. It's perfect. She lives in a Georgia plantation home now there, as we call the plantation home. So the image she has, Sydney James, they're married to a MLB, Major League Baseball. Last name is Bass now. I forgot what team he's with, but what a story for her and for us to have been intertwined that way, producing videos. Life isn't all that bad. By the time I got into high school, it was too late for me to do sex, to have that kind of initiative, show that kind of leadership, make moves fast enough for it to have any value and meaning, and for me to have felt the nectars of Sydney Ray James in a way that was where your head is functioning in a bar. So the like I said, the brain isn't loud enough. You don't have to know neuropsychology. That's why you have to go into a bar, function it, do nightclub when you're in your mid-20s, because you are now medicated in elementary school. You are now psychology, and I just see these people. You see them like I was in Oceanside, and I was in the parking garage at around 1 a.m. and this was over the weekend. Looking for sex, seeing if someone would suck my dick in a car, and so we didn't find it. But you see these beautiful young people coming up to their cars from the downtown Oceanside, and they, sometimes they have, you see people in trucks saying, the girl's just that he's rubbing her pussy and he's getting his dick sucked in there. Anyway, long story short, you see these folks and their brains are loud. Their brains are really loud, and that's why they can function in these environments, and at early ages they have these. So so you look at this, I'm gonna put the link there to NCSO's evidence, which is a screenshot of my blog, my very popular blog. You see how stupid this town is, but you also see that. So I want to tell you this: when I was in elementary school, what it stems from is I wanted to do sex with a beautiful young woman, the most beautiful woman in my elementary school. Her name was Nicole Lee, and I would draw these. And in fact, you saw when I was in Honolulu, speaking of Hotel Street, at Dole Cannery, I put that picture. I'm going to show that to you right there, of when Star Advertiser, they have a weird format. It's hilarious, actually, but they Board of Water Supply always has these contests. It was around December at that time. Put it up. Kid draws a ornament, right? Colors it in with crayons. I remember the Board of Water Supply coloring books from elementary school. In my day, they still have them. Board of Water Supply. And you look at that. I would draw these pictures of airplanes with my own name on it and logo, right, where I own an airline, kind of like Howard Hughes or Donald Trump did, even in they were kind of going in the Trump Air Shuttle, New York to Chicago, and Howard Hughes, Southwest kind of guy. That's why in Las Vegas we have a park in Summerlin. It's Hughes, Howard Hughes Center, and a baseball park. But it really, the reason I'm not making enough in commissions, the reason I'm not doing enough, the reason I can't dine in a restaurant with a quality female whose nectars of her vagina I feel after with my penis, with the most high quality of senses. And what do I say, high quality of senses? Here's what I mean. If you can't function in a bar, to the eyes of God, your life is of such less value than those that can. Think about this. This is the real thing to keep in mind out of this video. Sexual pleasure. Imagine that you woke up tomorrow morning, wanted to masturbate, or you've got the hottest guy in bed with you. It's for the ladies. and he's going to be dicking you now, and he's stimulating your clitoris with in exactly the positions you want, touching you exactly where you want him to touch you. But for some reason, all of a sudden, the valence of the sexual pleasure that your clitoris is transmitting to your brain and that you're feeling is cut in half. Would you even reach orgasm? Oh, you just can't get the feeling like you used to. And when you think about it, the head of the penis and then the feeling of pleasure in the penis and the clitoris and sexual pleasure, this is pleasure versus no pleasure, and then you've got the concept of the orgasm. That's a kind of binary, right? But sex is a core of human existence. Everything else outpictured from it. Cognition and the synapses firing could be constituted as, okay, let's say this is a very complex kind of sexual pleasure. So God puts us on earth to see the beauty of what he's created, to feel the beauty of what he's created. And if we can't function in a bar, if we can't go out and do these things and move fast on business opportunities, investments, move fast on people, then what that means is that you are failing God. And you may never reach orgasm also. Because if your brain is low level, God isn't feeling, you're God's penis. You see what I'm saying? Think about it that way. And that'll give you a real way to think about why you need to be a medical doctor, practice Western medicine, have all of that moving through your head in your lifetime. Because you can't fail God at being a quality penis for your entire life to end. We think about mortality and death and the greatest orgasm of all time. It would be completely meaningless for God if you don't be the genius. All right? Take care.